How is it to own one in India? Hardships that you'll have to face with the V4 engine in the city. Ah, see, it's turned off again. The V4 engines have torque throughout the rev range. There's so much torque in any gear. This will literally pull your arms. Look at this, the way it accelerates. The way it sounds.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you? Disapprove, I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna fucking do. Cause all these opinions.
What's up guys, welcome to another vlog. Today I'm here with my RSV4 1100 factory. I've done about 17,000 kilometers on it and it's been about a year and a half, so I thought it was the right time to make an ownership review on the motorcycle. So this is the RSV4 1100 factory. There is a standard variant and this is the factory variant. So the factory variant additionally gets forged wheels and semi-active suspensions from Öhlins. So let me take you a walk around through the bike. So here it's got a very unique headlamp design that looks really cool, the DRL all LED. This also has a feature wherein the headlamp turns on automatically when it goes into the dark. Let's say you get into a tunnel, it turns on automatically. So this winglet really helps a lot in terms of downforce. It not only helps with the downforce but also does a very good job of heat dissipation. Here if you look at the minute details, it's got a very nice, Mercedes sort of a logo that looks really cool. There's very good attention to detail on the motorcycle. So this is the lava red paint scheme that pays the homage to the Aprilia racing team. And there is only one lava red RSV4 factory in India. There are about 7 RSV4s, 5 factories in India. Here I've got the Aero Pista GP exhaust. It's with a titanium link pipe. So the good thing about the Aprilias is when you take off the stock end can, the catcon also comes off. So it is sort of like a full system now. The headers are titanium and we've got a titanium link pipe and the end can is also titanium. We come to the tail section. It's got a very cool Batmanish looking tail lamp and I've got a fancy number 2 1100cc. So I've got this fancy number 1100 which I paid extra for obviously. An NRC tail tidy as well that looks really cool. It's also got indicators which look really cool. So here's the swing arm of the motorcycle that is very unique and helps a lot in really good handling. This is a MotoGP inspired swing arm that helps a lot in the stability of the motorcycle and helps a lot in handling. The Brembo Stelema calipers, top of the line Brembo brakes. So let me show you the accessories I've got on it. I've got an MRA windscreen. In terms of protection, I've got the radiator guard, an official Aprilia MotoGP brake lever protector, and I've also got a Sprint air filter and velocity stacks. So I've got the velocity stacks and the Gabbro Racing tune as well. For the velocity stacks, it's got a stage 3 tune. So the stock bike makes about 217 bhp on the crank and 124 Nm of torque. This bike should be making roughly about 235-ish bhp on the crank, of course. I've not done a dyno test, of course, but as per the graph from Gabbro Racing, the bike makes about 200 plus bhp on the wheel. So that's insane. I've got a gloss PPF by the way on the bike. Originally this has got a satin blue finish and glossy red. I somehow like the glossy look, so I've got a glossy PPF on it. That's why it's got a really nice shine on it. This is actually a seat cowl. This is not the pillion seat. I've got a pillion seat separately. That also comes standard along with the bike. So that's a really good thing about Aprilia. They give this engine and clutch protectors as standard, which you see here. The seat cowl and the pillion seat with the foot pegs come standard on the motorcycle. Let me take you through the dash of this motorcycle. Aprilia, be a racer, and show you what all the electronics it's got. So here road mode, which has got three modes. So that's the user, street and sport mode. The user mode is obviously where you can configure each parameter based on your preference. Of course, in the user mode you can configure the settings on every parameter, and we also have the race mode, which has again three modes: the track 1, track 2 and the race mode. Traction control, it's got 8 levels of traction control, 3 levels of wheelie control, and then here we have Aprilia slide control, Aprilia engine management, engine braking, ABS. There are again 3 levels. There's Aprilia launch control. Also in the suspension control we have 3 active settings which keep changing based on the way you ride. So there's active track slick, active track and active road. So in the active suspension mode it calibrates based on various parameters on the road conditions. And then we have the manual 1, manual 2 and manual 3, the manual track slick, manual track and the manual road. So in this again you can adjust various parameters like the front compression, front rebound, rear compression, rear rebound, steering dampening, all this with just the click of a button. I mostly ride in user mode where I have set my preferences based on various parameters. And of course we have the quick shifter with the auto blipper. I can change the traction control settings through this button, plus and minus here, and we've got a toggle switch here. And this here we have the cruise control, so you can adjust the cruise control with this. Here we've got the headlamp on and off switch. So let's get going and start riding the motorcycle. And before that, let me just show the exhaust note to you, what it sounds like. One thing I love about the RSV4 is the way it sounds. Just hear this brutal exhaust note. Let's take it for a spin now. I've done about 16,800 kilometers on it already. I've done some good amount of highway riding and touring on the bike. I've done Ooty, I've been to Dhanushkodi, which is the southernmost tip of India. The few things I love about the Aprilia is the character. So the Aprilias are known for their character. The V4 engines have torque throughout the rev range. Like you open the gas, it's got plenty of torque. You see this? So this is a gem of an engine. It's got a lot of torque. It's mad. It's brutal the way it delivers the power. This and the Panigale V4 for that matter are one of the most brutal bikes in how the power is delivered. You've got torque anywhere in the rev range. See this? So one thing about the Aprilias are they have a beautiful chassis and swing arm. I mean, Aprilia does not know how to make bad handling motorcycles at all. Let it be the RSV4 or let it be the RS457 or even its scooter, the SR160. I have all of them, by the way. I also have the SXR160. The handling on all these vehicles is so good. When Aprilia engineers designed the RSV4 back in the day, when Max Biaggi was helping with the development of the RSV4, it was a 250cc GP bike chassis that was developed around Max Biaggi, and handling was so good. And with this new generation 2, the handling is still really good. Despite of the bike being a bit longer and having a longer wheelbase, it's still so sharp in terms of handling. Even if it's in the MotoGP, Ducatis were known for outright horsepower, but in the handling department, even in MotoGP or whether it's the production motorcycles, Aprilias are always known for brilliant handling. So when the Panigale V4 was out initially, it was known to be extremely brutal, and it was a very wild machine to handle. It depended a lot on the electronics, whereas the RSV4, the handling was already really good, and the dependency on the electronics was much lesser compared to the Panigale V4. Obviously the newer variants of Panigale were improved. The braking is just too cool. These are Brembo Selema calipers, so these are top of the line brakes. I have no complaints about the brake at all. Of course, the electronic package on this motorcycle is really good. It's got so many parameters to play around with, which enable the bike to perform really well. The electronic package is so comprehensive. Now let's say the traction control is at 8, which is the highest level of intrusion, and you have the VD control switched off. The bike with so much of traction would still do a wheelie. I mean, that's how good the electronics work. And it's got a cruise control as well. I can simply put the bike in cruise control and ride. I mean, that's funny because this bike does not have a fuel gauge to show you the fuel levels. Obviously it's a race bike, but then it's got cruise control. The bike feels really good for a tall rider like me. I'm about 6 feet tall. So the older RSV4 was a lot more compact, and shorter riders felt better on it, but it was a bit small for the taller riders. But with the new gen RSV4 now, I've got enough room to move around. If I have to talk about how aggressive the riding position is, it is not as aggressive as the R1. The new R1 is really compact and a bit more aggressive, so this is not that aggressive like the R1, but in comparison to something like the S1000RR, it is aggressive. The S1000RR is super comfortable. I mean, among the track bikes, if I have to say, the S1000RR is one of the easiest bikes to ride, and it has got a very comfortable riding posture. I have to warn you, if you're not experienced enough, it's mental, because this will literally pull your arms. Look at this, the way it accelerates. If you like some madness and you want some character, the on your face kind of torque, the V4s are really good for it. We've got an open stretch. Let's do some good speed. So why did I choose the RSV4 over the competition like the S1000RR or the Panigale V4? Of course, these are the direct competitors for this bike. I've owned an S1000RR Gen 1. So the S1000RR is a very easy Data class bike to ride. I mean, it feels so comfortable. The ergonomics are so good and comfortable. It's so easy. You can do good speeds, 250, 260, or on the highway. It feels so composed, and it's so easy to ride that bike fast. But the V4s have a lot of character, the madness. You know, they make you feel like a superhero, the way the bike just pulls. So there's a lot of thrust and character in the V4 engines. It's so engaging and so enjoyable. Once you get addicted to the V4, it's really hard to go back to the inline 4s. And then the other option I had was the Panigale V4. I've had friends who had the Panigale V4. I've ridden that bike too. It's a beautiful bike. It's a mental machine. It's so powerful. In fact, that is the bike that tempted me to get the RSV4. The thing about the Panigale V4 is the bike heats up so much. Whether it is on the highway or in the city, the heat is just, of course in the city it's unbearable. It gets too hot in the city. So the RSV4 heats up too, but the heat management is really good. The heat dissipation is really good. Somehow the rider does not feel so much heat. It's directed away from the rider's legs. But also the RSV4 heats up. If you're in the stop and go traffic, I've seen temperatures of about 130 degrees as well. It heats up quickly, but it cools down quickly too. But the Panigale V4 takes a lot of time to cool down. So that is one of the major factors I chose the RSV4 over the Panigale V4. And so the other factor that I like about the RSV4 over the Panigale V4 is the sound. Man, this sounds so amazing. It sounds like a GP bike. You hear this? It sounds so much better than the Panigale V4. So these were the couple of factors that made me choose the RSV4 over the Panigale V4, which I was seriously considering though. Another factor that a lot of people kept asking is, how's the reliability on this motorcycle? How is it to own one in India? Yes, in terms of reliability, I've not had any major issues on this particular RSV4. I've had an RSV4 before this as well, but on this motorcycle I've not had any major issues. I had a few minor oil leakages, but I got them fixed by changing the O-rings. It was just above the spark plug, there is this camshaft tower, so I got the O-rings replaced myself and the issue was all sorted. Yeah, but my older RSV4 gave me a bit of trouble. So there was this particular issue where the speedometer would not pass the signal to the servo motor, due to which the bike would go into the limp home mode, and the only solution for that was told by the dealership was to replace the speedometer. The bike had to remain in the garage for a very long duration due to this. I somehow got the issue fixed. A very good electrician helped me fix it. It just had some ICs in the dash that had to be replaced, and it was all sorted. But then because of this issue, the bike had to spend a lot of time in the garage. And also I had the issue with the rear master cylinder and caliper. The pistons in the caliper would engage and they would get stuck. They would not go back. So this resulted in the rear wheel locking up. So for that, what I had to do was, temporarily I had to disengage the rear brake completely, which is okay with me because I don't use the rear brake too much. But eventually, before I sold the motorcycle, I had to replace the rear caliper. So I replaced the rear caliper and then the issue was sorted. So these were a few niggles I had with my older RSV4, but nothing on this one. I've been happy. Yeah, in terms of wear and tear, the clutch plates got worn out at about 15,000 kilometers, which was unexpected. But then again, it is a wear and tear, and maybe it happened due to a bit of a usage in the city. These bikes do not like to be ridden in the city, to be honest. And yeah, in the lower revs, when you're trying to ride in the city, it's not very friendly. It's like a wildcat which wants to be set loose. It wants to be opened up all the time. So it's not very friendly in the lower revs. Apart from this, I've been very happy with the motorcycle. It's so engaging to ride. I've started from the R15, the KTM 200, the KTM 390s, and then I've come all the way up to the RSV4 after having several motorcycles. I've had a few liter glass motorcycles like the R1 Crossplane, the S1000RR, the older gen RSV4 1000cc RR, and then this RSV4. The R1 had a similar character in terms of how the power is delivered. It was raw, it was having torque throughout the rev range. And then when I moved to the S1000RR, I did miss the R1. I missed that character. because the S1000RR was so easy to ride. It was so smooth. It was so easy to ride that bike fast. Like, you would miss that character. And once I tried the RSV4, I just wanted the RSV4 and not the Panigale V4, obviously, because of the heat on the Panigale V4. And then one day I also rode my friend's Panigale V4. That bike had an Akrapovic full system exhaust and the tune from Ducati. That bike was mental again. It made over 230 bhp on the crank and it was mental. And when I rode that bike, I was like, man, I have to get a bike that is this 215 plus bhp. The way this bike looked, it was so beautiful. The handling, the electronic package, overall RSV4 is something I really wanted, despite of all the hardships that we had to face to get the bike in India. I've made a slightly detailed video about the hardships we have faced in India. You can watch that video as well. Yes, it was not easy to get this bike in India. I had to wait for a really long time, even after making the complete payment. And also the service support, it was very limited. There was one service station in Bangalore and one service station in Pune, and that's about it. These were the two dealers that could sell and service the Aprilia big bikes in India. But now with the 457 coming in, the dealer network is expanding throughout India. So now in Bangalore, even Falcon Mobikes is authorized to sell the Aprilia big bikes like the RSV4, the RS660s, the Tono 660s, and the Touareg. And I was also told that the technicians will be trained soon on the Aprilia big bikes, which is a good news. Yep, I hope things get better for us Aprilia big bike owners in India. With the dealer network expanding, I hope the service support and the availability of spares becomes easier. Yes, initially it was taking a lot of time to source the part. There was a time when I had to wait 7 months for a part, and then I got fed up and ordered it myself. But now I'm told that the parts can come in much faster. In fact, Falcon Mobikes was able to source the clutch plates for me really quick. It came in about just 2 weeks from the time I ordered. So that was something I had not expected, and it's a positive sign. So should you buy the RSV4 in India? And why should you choose this over the S1000RR or the Panigale V4, which are successful motorcycles and brilliant machines, and they have a better service network already in India? So why would you choose an RSV4? So I would say, if you want something easy to ride and still really fast, the S1000RR is a brilliant option. It's really good in terms of the electronic package it has. It's a very nimble motorcycle. It's really light, the new gen S1000RR, and yeah, it's very easy to ride fast. It's so forgiving when you make mistakes, because the way it delivers its power is so smooth and easy compared to the V4s. And with regard to the Panigale V4, again, yeah, that's a very good motorcycle in terms of outright power and handling and the electronics, but the only drawback with it is the heat. So yeah, the Ducati Panigale V4 is also a very good option if you want to have slightly better service support in India at least. And of course, they are brilliant machines. They are dominating in MotoGP and they're doing really well. I think the overall sales of Panigale V4 also worldwide is really good now. But to me, the RSV4 is the ultimate motorcycle. It has the character of the V4. It doesn't heat up like the Panigale V4, and it sounds so much better than the Panigale V4 in my opinion. So it's like a relationship, you know. So it's not just the money in terms of RSV4, it's also the kind of patience you have. With the RSV4, you gotta be patient in terms of the small niggles that it could have, sourcing parts could take some time. Also, in the city it's not so friendly. The clutch feels a bit hard. The bike feels not too smooth in the lower revs. It likes to be pushed up in the higher revs. It always wants to be ridden fast. That's how the character of this machine is. So yep, so you got to be patient with the RSV4, and if you feel like this is the one for you and you have the patience level, you can go for the RSV4, because it's just like a relationship, you know. When you're in a relationship with a person, there are things you might like, there are things you might dislike, but you have to make it work. So if you feel you are somebody who does not have that level of patience, you should just go for something that's easy to own, like the S1000RR or the Japanese motorcycles. When you look at how quickly these vehicles change lanes, you gotta be extremely cautious. See here, the max speed today 284 kilometers per hour. Now, there was a bit of traffic, couldn't get a good stretch, but the bike has done about 310 kilometers per hour. I've seen some videos on YouTube where the bike in bone stock condition has done beyond 320 kilometers per hour, and that's insane. Sometimes it's fun to ride around and zip through the traffic. I'll be making more content obviously on the RSV4 and the other motorcycles that I have, like the RS457, the Mojo, and a lot of other motorcycles that I would have access to. I'm new to YouTube, so please do subscribe, like and share. It will motivate me to make more content. Look at the way it pulls. There is no need to shift gears. There's so much torque in any gear, but it's just fun to play around with the quick shifter and auto flipper at times. The sound is so addictive. I can never get bored of this bike. It's so engaging and so much fun to play around with. Man, I have to tell you, once you are used to the power delivery and character of the V4, it's really hard to go back to the inline fours. You will see more content on the RSV4, the RS457, the Mojo, and the other motorcycles that I would have access to. The RS457 has been in the dealership for some time due to an issue. I'll tell you more about it next time. Welcome to reality. Welcome to Bengaluru. After every ride, this is the kind of traffic that we have to go through to get back home. This is where any V4 motorcycle would not like to be in. Obviously the bike heats up quickly, but it cools down also quickly once you get going. But yes, in this kind of traffic, I have seen temperatures go up to 130 degrees Celsius as well. Yep, I'm not even kidding. But somehow still, the heat dissipation is so much better than the Panigale V4. On the Panigale V4, you don't even see the temperatures. you would be just seeing bars. 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bars. I think about 3 to 4 bars is very hot. Yeah, it heats up so much that they can't even show you the kind of temperatures it goes up to. You see, the temperature is already going up, 108 degrees Celsius now. It needs to get going. It needs to keep moving. The moment you get some air, it cools down quickly as well. Oh no, man, this is bad. 110 degrees Celsius. It's scary to see this temperature going up so quickly. In this kind of situation, we somehow just hope that we get some air quickly, some gap where we can quickly start moving and try cooling the bike down. This is scary. 113 degrees Celsius. If it goes beyond 120, 125 degrees Celsius, it's just better to just stop the bike for some time and then get going. Unless you get some empty space quickly. This traffic seems to be really bad. I think I should shut off the motorcycle and switch off the engine and just crawl with my legs slowly. The engine temperature light has come up, 114 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I rather push the motorcycle for some time with my legs, because if I turn on the engine now, it's gonna get even hotter. The RSV4 hates to be in 115 degrees Celsius. High temperature warning. The bike is switched off automatically. Oh my god, this is a pain. बत्ती जगह दे दरबा. Thank you, sir. Some space. Oh, there's a truck that's broken down here. This kind of traffic is not a good news for the RSV4. 116 degrees Celsius. It's heated up so much. Please give me some space. This bike needs to cool down. This is where it gets really hard to ride a V4 motorcycle. The inline 4s are a lot friendlier in these conditions, inline 4s or the triples or smaller motorcycles for that matter. You'll start hating to ride the motorcycle in this kind of traffic, the big bikes. It's painful, it gets really hot, you get really tired with this in these kind of conditions. You get really tired riding a V4 motorcycle in these kind of conditions. The bike has turned off. At times when the bike overheats, it turns off by itself. So at times these are the kind of conditions where you will have to even think about taking out a V4 motorcycle into the city. These are not at all friendly in the city. There's a lot of traffic. See here, the bike is turned off again. I'd rather push the vehicle instead of starting it and overheating it again just for a few seconds. You see, these are the kind of sacrifices that you'll have to make when you own a V4 motorcycle. For all the character that it delivers, there is this bit of sacrifice. So if you have this level of patience, only then go for a V4 motorcycle. Any V4 for that matter, let it be the RSV4 or the Panigale V4. In case of Panigale, it's a lot worse. These kind of situations, sometimes you wish people understood the kind of pain you're going through. You can't even tell them, please move away, my bike is overheating, I need to keep going. The RSV4 always gets attention wherever you go. Of course, it's such a rare motorcycle. I think I have to think twice before coming onto this road once again at this time. Or we have to go for a quick ride early in the morning and come back before the traffic is too much. Oh, literally torture. You see, these are the kind of sacrifices that you'll have to make if you get a V4 motorcycle. Only you have this kind of patience, get a V4 motorcycle. 127 degrees Celsius in peak Bangalore traffic. The bike not only gets hot, but you get really tired, it drains you. In these kind of situations, the inline 4s or smaller motorcycles for that matter are so much friendlier. Oh man, this is not ending. So for all the character that you would enjoy on the highway, thank you, these are the kind of hardships that you'll have to face with the V4 engine in the city. Oh, see, it's turned off again.